But we got an enormous. I got this is like a whole second show, Brad. I don't know if we should.
We're going 2.5 hours, baby. We're doing it. You're gonna have so many clips to cut.
So many. Let's do it.
Just today, you're gonna have your work cut out for you.
Just today, Indiana dipped back into the Sarasota Bradenton area, going to a high school powerhouse IMG Academy for the commitment of Cameron McHaney, the defensive lineman. He's an Indianapolis kid playing again down at IMG. Pat Coons gets another one. The defense in the class of 2026 is absolutely disgusting. They're loaded. Cam McHaney, first thoughts, seeing the commitment.
First off, I'm gonna pat myself on the back because I called this commitment like 4 months ago. As soon as I heard he was visiting, I was like, "Oh, we're getting this guy. There's no way we're letting him out of our claws or jaws or whatever you want to call it." Talking to Jamie Jordan at the IU Reactionary, I think we both had the same sentiment. Sometimes we disagree, but I think this time we agreed very heavily on what this type of player is. He's a true nose guard, 6'1", 315. Basically, think Tyreek Tucker. He's got Tyreek Tucker vibes to him in terms of getting penetration on the O-line. That's probably the strength of his game, as well as being a very solid run stopper. Just curious to see how he develops as a pass rusher throughout his time. He's watching tape very clearly. I mean, he's playing high school ball and he's a D1 commit, so obviously his run stop, his gap fills are very good, and he's just a man amongst boys. But I mean, it's a guy being trained at IMG Academy, and those guys, tend to at least be contributors in college, not necessarily go to the NFL, but at least make themselves very valuable to a football program. So just getting another Tyreek Tucker-esque player, I think is a huge for Indiana as they continue to just load up on D line. It's by far the room with the most scholarships that they give out. I think they have. I'm going to do a quick math here. They have about 16 on scholarship right now. So, I mean, it just fills in what they've been trying to do and really just beef up that D line, focus on development. And like you said, or not like you said, but like we've been saying, one thing that really, I think I've just been thinking about this all day and thinking about these commitments. Like one thing Cignetti does really well is kind of evaluating based on how their football instincts are, not necessarily what their measurables are. Obviously, that's going to be important if you want to play at the Power 4 level. But I think he does a really good job just evaluating based on instincts. And you see it there. Like he's shedding blockers the right way. He's recognizing where the run is, and he's a good football player. So it really just comes down to getting in that weight room. He's already, good news for him, he's already at 315. So it just has to get.
If anything, he might be going down
and kind of just learn the playbook. Really, I mean, this is a guy that could. We look at that D tackle room. We have Ratcliffe and Wheeler leaving next year. That leaves Tucker and Landino likely to start. I don't think they're going to head to the NFL. Obviously, depending on what kind of season we have. If we win the national title and go undefeated, Tyreek Tucker might be gone. We'll see. But, we got Kyler Garcia back there, who we really like. Jamari Monette, who's a junior, is still back there. But lots of opportunity for him to kind of break in there and maybe fill in that kind of 4-man interior D-line rotation year one. Who knows? We could have a Tucker, Landino, Kyler Garcia, McHaney kind of rotation in the interior line next year. If he can break through as a true freshman, that's obviously huge for any program if you can get production from guys that are, 18, 19 years old.
Yeah, and he had a lot of really interesting quotes, including like Indiana fans just sit back and enjoy the show and you're getting a dog, which again, fans of Cignetti, fans of the talk, I love it. Fire me up. It's it's speaking confidently and you put on the tape and he backs it up. It's he's one of those guys who is a 3-star, but it's that guy's under-heralded. It was if everybody thinks he's under-heralded or under-ranked, just raise the ranking. You know what I mean? So it's I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen in the future.
He's the IMG nose tackle.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know. I don't think he's too unheralded. I mean, 3 stars at the end of the day, high-level 3 stars are, if you're a top 500 recruit, I mean, you're expected to play Power 4 ball. That's kind of just how it goes. And yeah, and he's clearly going to fit the bill. It's just about getting him in the system and just trusting our coaching staff to get them to where they need to be. And, we see this, given the amount of, going through the Phil Steele book, we might have a pretty heavy NFL draft class coming up this next year, and that could only spark more big recruiting wins like this moving forward. But it would be nice to get the number 1 nose tackle, but hey, we got the IMG nose tackle, and I guess that's not going to call it a consolation prize, but I mean that's pretty good too. You never know. The guys fizzled out all the time, and we're just going to continue trusting evaluation and Signetti when it comes to just overseeing it all. Because I don't think we have a GM or like a designated recruiting coordinator.
Yes, we do have a recruiting coordinator. I believe it's Mike Ferrara.
Okay.
But I'll have to double check on that.
Yeah.
But no, he wasn't well, to say that like he was a target, like this was a recruiting win. Like let's not like I only said that to say like he's probably a little bit better rated than the.
I'm just saying like in general, like we're not getting the 4 and 5 stars like out the wazoo. Like we're seeing like Michigan's on an absolute heater right now. I don't know if you're noticing this like on the recruiting trail, but Michigan's on an absolute heater. We will get there one day.
A lot of wide receivers in that room, Brad.
Title,
I'm not counting us out of the Travis Johnson race. I'll say it. I'll say it. I'll look stupid. I don't care. I'll say it. McHaney wasn't the only commit of the week, Brad. It was a 3 commit week in total. We got like literally 12 minutes, I think, after we got off the air last week, we got the official flip news of Jay Timmons, which like was pretty much inevitable. Like I guess 60% means 100%. He wasn't Wilt wrong. He was Wilt right. Wilt wrong. That was. But Indiana wasted pretty much no time. Indiana pretty much wasted no time filling that spot. They went and got Jamar Owens, a safety from Georgia. I believe it's Douglasville High School, but I'm not entirely sure. But he is a high school teammate of Cortez Redding, who is another target in the class of 2026 for Indiana. But Owens was a top performer at OT7 the other day over the weekend. And one thing that kind of stood out to me was in his visit photos, there was a picture of him and Hollywood Bell and Byron Baldwin Jr. And it just, I keep referencing this interview with Byron Baldwin Jr. where I committed early to get guys to come here and I'm just going to get dogs to play with me. And it's like I don't like Byron Baldwin Jr. in the LeRon Deuce picture, Byron Baldwin Jr. and Jalen Hollywood Bell in the Jamar Owens picture. It's like these dudes are out there trying to make their team better. And it's like, shout out to those two specifically. Cause like they're like, it's just, these are things that like obviously are good for your program and help your program build, but they're not required. Like these aren't requirements. Like these kids are going out of their way to help their own future. So like shout out to those guys. But what did you think of the Jamar Owens?
Well, awesome that they're quickly able to, get a Georgia DB commit. You just like that. It's like, that's sexy. Georgia DB. Got a Georgia DB to replace the other Pennsylvania DB that we lost, son of a former NFL player. John saying he'll be back before college. I'm gonna say don't count on it for reasons I cannot say. How about that?
I'll say this. We'll sidebar on Florida State real quick.
We have insider info, and let's just say
I'm gonna say sidebar on Florida State real quick.
That's where his dad played, at the
absolutely
end of the day.
Disgusting rev share contract that was called, quote, unconscionable, that essentially gives the university control over how much the player makes and eliminates all their injury protections, and absolutely horrible. So I hope he didn't sign that, or I hope any Florida State athlete didn't sign that agreement, but sorry, continue.
It's all good. Yeah, Jamar Owens, he projects as a safety. I think he has cornerback skills, and when you kind of see that, kind of makes you think this guy could play rover. This guy could be full-time rover. Kind of bring him in that sense, because he's listed at 6 foot 175, which is pretty light for a safety. That's like a cornerback size, right? So having that size and that speed with safety instincts while still having that size and speed to allow yourself to not get burnt in the slot and be able to cover man. And obviously, zone is pretty, in general, should be pretty easy to kind of get down as a DB. I'm a receiver, so I'm gonna slight DBs from time to time, but yeah, he projects to me as a guy that's gonna be playing rover. It's a very special position, but I mean, we'll see. I'm wrong all the time. I don't know. I guess I'm not wrong all the time, but I don't know what's going on in that room, but that's where I would try to maybe start having them get reps at would be that roaming player that can, kind of just make plays wherever you need to on the field, whether that's dropping back into 3 deep or it's guarding or it's rushing the quarterback, or if it's, pressing a slot man to man. He can kind of do it all. So getting Jeff, I'm surprised Jeffrey knew that I was an X. That's something. That's something there.
It's quarterback.
I was an X.
That's a quarterback's mind right there.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. QB1, Jeffrey. But yeah, no, Jamar Owens, big get. I mean, just we're killing in the South, man. We're getting Florida, we're getting Georgia. I remember back in the Tom Allen days, we got a few guys from the SIP, like Ty Fry and a couple other guys. But the fact that we're getting guys from so many different, just the Midwest, California quarterback, we're getting guys from the South, several guys from, I think 3 guys from Florida now, strictly in the Bradenton kind of Tampa area.
Sarasota, awesome, Bradenton, baby.
Yeah, there we go.
Let's go.
Wrap up. Yeah, but I mean, it's great to see 20 commits now. If people don't know, you typically bring in a class of 25 every year. So the fact that we're already almost done is amazing. It's amazing. With still room to bring in some guys if we want to bring in some extra fellas, depending on the season that we have. Because we keep on saying, like, if Indiana's able to stack another great season, who knows what this class could look like come February.
You mentioned 20. The obviously McHaney was the commit.
Jay Whistle give me a shout out.
Obviously McHaney was the commitment that pushed it to 20, but the guy who brought it back up to 18 was HSE's 5-star long snapper Jackson Tolle. He committed to the Indiana Hoosiers. It's a 3-phase game, Brad. Grant Kane's room got better.
We got a third commit?
Jackson, yeah, Jackson Tolle, long snapper, 5-star.
Oh, he's okay, hell yeah, straight up long snapper.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's huge because Mark Langston, who, if you guys don't, OGs will know this, but we were trying to figure out if Mark Langston was coming back forever, and yeah, he's gonna be gone next year. Obviously, we brought in the Lindsay kid as a walk-on, but yeah, he'll probably compete with this incoming freshman, and that's the guy. The walk-on is the guy this freshman has to beat out to get PT, and yeah, it's a huge get. I didn't even know we got a long snapper. That's awesome. We solved the Mark Langston problem. That's awesome. I'm actually fired up. That's huge.
He said it's big time. It's big time.
By the way,
that is big time.
Making an uptick this year. By the way, I was looking.
Yeah,
we're about to add 3 yards average to our punt this year with McCarthy.
Well, what about the Radicic? Was not that he was like he was limited in range last year, and now he's looking banging out his mediums.
The Croatian, yeah, he's ripping his shirts is what I'm hearing in the weight room. His hang cleans are at like 315 now, but
there are a couple other
huge for the special teams. Huge, yeah.
There are a couple.
Thank you.
A couple other recruiting notes just to kind of keep an eye on. Well, first of all, Jacob Savage, who's a athlete linebacker commit from Kentucky in the class of 2026. He was clocked at 17.5 miles per hour, running at a 20-degree incline. Dude's just a freak. Like I said, Travis Johnson, he picked up a bunch of crystal balls to Michigan. I just there was a tweet his mom sent out about like her experience with the Indiana coaching staff, and so like I'm just kind of like holding on to that until he officially commits. His commitment date is 7/4. Again, like he's got like 12 crystal balls to Michigan, but I'm just not going to pull us out of that race until it's over. Nick Reddish will commit a week from Friday. He's a safety target in the class they've been after for a little bit. He's got heavy Notre Dame ties, so we'll see.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of Notre Dame buzz from him, which is kind of crazy. He's like one of those 3 stars, those niche kind of. He's a 4-star, 87 to 89 rated on 24/7. He's a 3-star, so he's still like that kind of niche 3 to 4-star range that Indiana kind of likes to target in order to just build bigger classes sooner. They're at the end of the day, they're building a great foundation. We're gonna miss on some guys. That's just what happens when you're in the Thunderdome of recruiting, high level recruiting. So as long as we're just able to finish, top 20, top 30, top 25 in this recruiting class, and kind of set that foundation as, you know, we're going to need another big portal year after this season, no matter what. So, you know, just the facts that we're building this foundation over the past 3 classes, they've all been very, very strong, considering all things considered, what they've been having to deal with, you know, starting late, bringing in Tom Allen guys, and then starting late on the 2025 cycle. And then, you know, finally being able to start, you know, ahead of time on, or at least on schedule for 2026. And look at them. It's July 1st and they have 20 commits. I mean, it's unbelievable. I haven't seen anything like this from Indiana. Like, yes, they used to bring in some high level recruits, but in terms of the amount of commitments they would have, they would never get to this number this early with Tom. As good of a recruiter as he was.
There was a bite-sized bison graph that he posted yesterday. That literally details exactly what you're talking about, of like number of commits, like June,
really
by June 3rd, by July 1st, after July 1st in total, and all of the Signetti numbers are like, pshoom. So it's.
I was just going off feel. I didn't even have any numbers to back myself up.
You can just look up.
I have myself in stat correction territory.
You can look up Taylor from Bite Size Bison, or you could just look up @by Taylor L, and you can find his page. But he does a lot, like Bite Size Bison does all like analytics and a lot of like offensive charts, and he does good stuff. But yeah, literally just kind of detailed
24/7.
I haven't seen him on any of the sites, but he announced his commitment. And then there was Jerquaden Guilford, receiver from Fort Wayne, who was set to commit last week, postponed his commitment. He was picking up crystal balls to Ole Miss, I think, which seemed kind of out of left field. So the fact that he pushed his commitment back, probably good for Indiana. So just something to keep an eye on.
Okay. Yeah, and Travis Johnson's committing when? That's the big one.
Friday.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.